Hello my beautiful fragrance family, Dustin here, fragrance fan. Go ahead and give me a solid and click that like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell notification. And I'm just going to keep on giving you guys these budget-friendly fragrance reviews, that 40-ish and under dollar range, and most of these are way less than that. And a good number of these you can pick up at your local rack stores. And right now we have had a influx of the clone house fragrances, your Camaras, your Milestones, and stuff like that. And we're all pretty happy about it, those of us in the fragrance world. So you're going to see a lot of reviews on those, and it's not like I'm just like trying to review all these because they get a lot of attention. It's because they're just really filling up the rack stores, and a lot of times I see them there and then I don't see them again. So I'm picking them up and I'm reviewing these things. So without further ado, the one I'm talking about I found on clearance for $15 from Milestone. And it's pretty obvious who they're trying to clone right here. This is Glorious Paris Royal Santal. Looks almost identical to Guerlain's Santal Royale. I didn't have the atomizer lid, which kind of always bugs me, but I think that's why it was only $15 at TJ Maxx. It was probably something like $16 or $17.99. These atomizers just are beautiful every time. So this one, before I looked up the notes on the original Guerlain, I thought there was like some kind of blueberry in this, but I could be mistaken. It could be the peach coupled with some other things like your sandalwoods and your nerolies, which might be giving it with the cinnamon and stuff. Like just a combination of things could be giving it that blueberry kind of feel, but I thought that there was that in here. So you got white florals in the top. You got like neroli, jasmine in the mid, or the heart of this thing is that peach. There's wood, oud, leather. This thing is nice, creamy, easy kind of an oud fragrance. It almost has a soapy feel. On the initial blast, you get this nice, soft, white floral, soapy feel. The oud is very laid back and easygoing. It's obviously present, the leather in there, giving it a nice dose of character. If you are into fragrances like ombre leather, Tuscan leather, things like that, this will be right up your alley because it's one of those kind of fragrances, but it's not quite as challenging. In a weird way, it's just as bold, but it's not as challenging. Maybe because it's not as loud, but it is still strong and powerful. It doesn't pump off the skin really hard, but you get a nice scent bubble for goodness, like 6 hours, maybe a little more, maybe 7 hours. I was pushing the envelope when I wore this thing because this is a cool weather evening kind of fragrance, and it wasn't really cool, but it wasn't hot by any means last night, and I wore this to dinner last night, just, you know, by myself, just eating and enjoying this thing, and I thought that I was smelling somebody else. I kept thinking I was getting a little whiffs of like Aventus or Club de Nuit or one of the Aventus style DNAs. And I realized it was this. It was the rose and the spiciness in this, because every time I would make a certain movement, I would just get a hint of that. I thought it was like another fragrance hitting mine at the same time, and come to find out it was this. It was the dry down of this, kind of having the same kind of rose as like the limited edition of Club de Nuit. Really, really spectacular. So that kind of thing tends to garnish a lot of compliments and some attention. This is going to be for the more mature. It's not one of those high school, college kind of fragrances. This isn't going to be a safe blind buy. If this was like in a box, or if any of those other like ombre leather, Tuscan leather type things, woody oud are in a box, none of these are safe blind buys. They're not for everybody. But if you are not used to those kind of fragrances, this is kind of a good starter because it's not quite as challenging. I must say that this is well crafted. It's not ultra synthetic. You don't really get that alcohol blast when you first spray it. It's long lasting. When it morphs from the opening, that soapy crispiness to the dry down where it's a little bit more smooth wood, amber, peach and stuff like that, it's done well. And it doesn't get worse. I think it gets a little better even in the dry down, which is cool because when I first purchased this, I was sold just on the opening alone and I really liked it. Overall rating, I'll give this a 7.5 because it has great performance. It smells really, really good. Not totally blown away or anything, but this is a very, very solid smelling fragrance, especially for $15. the price on these things, you're getting so much more than what these things are worth. I feel like, I don't know how they're selling these things for so cheap. Maybe it's because they're not coming up with their own ideas and they're just trying to mimic something else, and they're doing a really good job at it, so I'm not complaining about that. But like I said, this is a cool weather, nighttime type of fragrance. It's not super challenging as far as the oud fragrances go, and I say the dominant notes in this one, as far as the opening, are going to be that soapiness that you're getting from some of like the jasmine and the white florals, and the creaminess from the sandalwood, and a little bit of that oud and peach, because it does have a sweetness to it. There's a decent amount of sweetness in this thing. And then, like I said, when it dries down, it gets a little bit spicier, and the sweetness still maintained, but it gets a little bit more earthy, woody, spicy, creamy from the sandalwood during the dry down. But overall, this is just a wonderful little fragrance. If you see this in the rack store, I highly recommend you get a whiff of this thing, and you'll probably purchase it if you're looking to buy a fragrance, because it's just that good. So that's my final thoughts on Glorious. I don't know if you read it in the order of this thing, Glorious Paris Royal Santal by Milestone, or how they're trying to do it, but obviously it's a clone of Guerlain Santal Royal. So with that, I'm out. Y'all be blessed. Take care of yourself always, and until next time.